4% have tried, and how many
Yeah.
succeeded?
Yeah, those cases are normally, like 3%, but I use 4 to be safe. Yes.
And you won twice.
Back to back.
Hello, UAW family. My name is Nelson Rodriguez, and I'm a UAW member out of Local 2209, and this is our podcast, Solidarity Soldiers. Solidarity Soldiers was created to educate our membership from leadership and from the members themselves. Because when you ask questions, you get answers. Sometimes the answers are wrong, sometimes the answers are right. But when the more people are involved, you'll ensure that you get the right answers. So today, we're interviewing Mike Turner. Now, Mike Turner is running for Vice President of the International. And today I'll be asking him a series of questions so that you, the membership, could get to learn and know your candidate. So with that, here goes Mike Turner. Mike Turner, would you like to introduce yourself to the membership?
Yes. First off, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I like that you try your best to communicate and engage with members and educate when you can, because that's something I believe we need. But yeah, my name is Mike Turner, 31 years, General Motors, hired in 1995. I originally from Youngstown, Ohio. Never worked at Lordstown, but it was right there in that area. I had family members that worked there. And then some of them transferred to Lordstown, and it happened to be in that area. I just turned 18 years old, and they had referrals, and I was able to get a job there, and it was great.
18 years old, huh?
18, a little young. I mean, I hired in 19, but it was 18 when it started the process. It was a few months to go
like
through.
25, 26, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, well, you'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, at first I was just kind of a, normal employee who worked, and I appreciated the union. I come from a union background, third generation, but I was never involved really per se. And then for a while there, I thought, well, I'll get involved. So I got on some committees, started learning some stuff. And then, through the years, I've learned that I was always someone that wouldn't accept some things that I saw was wrong or incorrect. So I started being vocal about issues. For a while there, I was kind of like the guy people would go to, hey, this is going on, what do you think? And we'd talk about it. I'd say, yeah, you might want to get your union member or, representative involved, talk to the committeeman. So I went through a phase of doing that. And then I got to a point where I felt passionate that, hey, I'm going to run for an audit committeeman. I'm going to see what this is about. And I did that. And it was an eye-opener. It was a lot to learn, but it was fulfilling because you got to help people every day. And then from there, I ran for committeeman. And then I was on shop committee at large, where we negotiate agreements. And it was kind of the worst time at that time. It was during the bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't pleasant, but I do believe we did, as a shop committee at that time, and I think they would feel proud with me telling them that we did an excellent job with everything going on around that bankruptcy. And then you had the government in our business, basically, and General Motors doing anything they could to take everything they could from us.
Well, during the bankruptcy, it was a tough time, and no local came out clean.
Well, no.
I mean, every local, their contracts were pretty hard to swallow.
Well, it wasn't a typical bargaining session, unfortunately. It was more so a mandate. Hey, the court approved this. You guys got to get to this number. And it wasn't fun, but we did it, and we kept the doors open. We had other behind the scenes infighting going on at that time with representatives, and I won't say no names, but they came from other facilities, and if it came down to chopping a plant, they weren't on our side.
Okay, so you originally from Ohio, then you came to Fort Wayne, and you became an alternate committee man.
Yep.
And then you were a committee man, and then you were on the shop committee, and you also ran for convention.
Yeah, I was a delegate, 2018 delegate again here, or an alternate for the 22 convention.
So how many times did you go?
3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Okay.
This last one I was a delegate at too.
Okay. Well, the first question is, what made you decide to run for vice president of the UAW?
Yeah, well, and that's a big question. Why I chose to go ahead and run is a call to service. I don't see it as running like a campaign. I feel it's my job to give the membership hope. We have a very low disengagement numbers with the membership. And I think that's because we've lost a lot of hope with the members. We lost a lot of trust. We lost a lot of faith. And I'd like to bring that back. And I think it's only going to happen through, direct conversation with the membership and truly listening to the membership.
You make a great point. I mean, engagement. I was an engaged member for quite some time, and now I'm disengaged as far as I'm no longer involved in education and podcasting with the UAW. Now I do everything outside of the UAW. So I get exactly what you're saying, and I hope it works out. I mean, I really hope that you're able to re-engage our membership and get them more involved again, because you're 100% right.
I believe that's what needs to happen. I mean, to finish that question, I'll say, what I want to see a member-driven organization where our union is from the bottom up, and their needs, their desires are actually listened to, heard, and responded to, whatever those may be. We can't do that anymore from a top-down, approach, an agenda set by leadership saying this is what it's going to be, why we ignore what the membership is telling us from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And to do that, to be a member-driven organization, we need to start listening. It all starts with listening to members.
That's good you said that. That's really good you said that. There are times where at all levels of the UAW, sometimes our leaders, sometimes we feel we're not heard at all. When we're on that line, sometimes we're just like, oh, why bother?
Yeah, or there's just been a lot of other stuff that's people, I don't know, creates disengagement where like, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Many different reasons. I'm not going to isolate it to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall aspect of it, I believe, is disengagement. Our last election, I think we saw a little over 10% engaged. That's not a lot.
Local politics, regional politics, international politics, people are just, they're just tired.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to take a different approach with my campaign. I'm actually sending a message out to people. Hey, what's going on with you? What's your issues? Let's have discussions to be engaged.
Now, at the same time, though, what about people that are engaged? What are you going to do for them? Regular member that's in a committee, or the member that's on the CAP committee, or lobbying, or trying to do something, get engaged, and maybe
Well, they need supported if they're out there doing the work for our union on committees, and they're trying to educate, they're trying to get more engagement from members, trying to teach them about different things. I want to support them. First off, that's one of the biggest things. I know education. We don't do as good a job as we should, and I know every area and bargaining unit is different, but we should make that a foundation, educating members.
Good. Okay, so second question. 6 to 7% of the U.S. workforce is projected to lose their jobs due to AI and automation by 2030. That's roughly 10 to 11 million jobs. As VP, what would you do to help your president and the executive board to combat this problem so that members in all sectors can have some sense of job security?
Yeah, and it's a huge question. There's many different takes on it. At the same time, it's not just a UAW issue. This is not just, this is coming. Let's face it, it's a global issue. And to me, we have to take a step back. We can't do it in fear. We can't be yelling about it. We have to take a step back. What can we do, first off, from a legal basis? We're an organization that's governed by laws. And what we can do is put items in our contract for protections. Now, every employer is different. And we do know, no matter what, they're all going to try to do whatever they can to produce whatever they're producing as cheap as they can. And technology, it doesn't stop. It changes, and it changes fast. But what we can do is, in our wheelhouse legally, is create language of protections. I'm not saying we could just stop it, because we can't. I wish I could say that. That would be lying. But what we can do is, we have moratorium on outsourcing. Well, we have moratorium on AI, automation. Okay. Very simple, black and white. We demand, and I think it's achievable, 0 layoffs due to your progression with AI and automation. I believe we can secure that. Now, and I see it. I get that it's threatening, but we can't come from a place of fear. It's what it is. We have to address it, but we have to do it with a plan of attack, with purpose, And at the end of the day, we have to protect our members. And I think we can do that by securing good language for it. But again, like I was saying, this AI issue is a global issue. Society as we know it could shift very fast. And the governments of the world, in my opinion, should be having conversations of this themselves.
Yeah, no, with that again too, what about trades and building up the membership as well to be compatible to the AI and to get into automation and
that's a positive.
How would you use trades and stuff like that?
Well, that's a positive you can see from it. Is no matter what, we're going to have more trades to watch AI, to take care of AI and do things with it. And that's what we've always done. Any kind of new progress comes from the 70s on that I'm aware of, is we put language around it. Like I said, moratoriums protect, but we also put retraining programs in there. And what I want is, and it shouldn't be hard to get, is a good faith promise. I don't want to see one layoff. Simple as that. I get they're going to do it. I want a zero layoff policy from it.
I mean, when you see other candidates that are out there and stuff like that, as well as yourself, one of the main questions are about AI.
Yeah.
And
different candidates are saying different things. I'm trying to be honest and truthful with membership, where we have to work within our legal constructs of collective bargaining. To do that, we have to be, in my opinion, a membership from the bottom up, engaged membership, so we can be strong.
Yeah. Us members ourselves, we're used to the 3%. We're used to them bringing in automation time at the time. So we're used to that, and we're expecting it.
Yes.
But we just don't want to see a mass exodus of members and
honestly, that
transfer everywhere else.
Yeah, and that's where the moratorium on AI and automation is what we need, and we need it in every sector. It's not just production, from legal staff, things like that. There's higher ed issues. There's a lot of things that it'll affect. It's not just manufacturing.
Exactly. So we'll go on to question number 3, transparency. As an involved member myself, I know there's a lack of transparency at all levels of the UAW, from the local level to the international level. The majority of our members truly doesn't know what's going on with their leadership and their union as a whole. As VP, what will you do to keep the membership informed of what the issues are within our UAW and its sectors, the good and the bad?
This is where I was getting back to earlier. We have some cultural things that, for whatever reason, it's been acceptable up to this point. We negotiate everything behind closed doors. But, it's also in the back room where discussions are done. And often the membership is the last ones to know about it. That's not transparency. And I'm not trying to speak on that on a certain local level or anything. It's a broad, all the way to the top culture. And it creates disengagement, unfortunately. But total transparency, in my opinion, is the only option. We've seen over the last 4 years, other candidates, or we'll say people that are holding positions, and not going to get into that drama, but a lot of that happening behind the scenes. And the membership, unfortunately, they hear about it in the news. I think, like, if I'm elected, total transparency is going to be my agenda, because I think it's a must. And I think the only way to do that, my plan, is to have at least quarterly reports, basically my activity, what I've had to deal with monthly, how I represented the membership, this issue came up or that issue, being as honest as I can and transparent, and give them, the members, basically my daily routine. This is what I've done. This is what I've had to, this is how I've represented the membership. I basically give reports on what I do.
And I ask this question because, a lot of times we get slapped in the face by, big ads that say the FBI are indicting, or doing this and doing that. And that we don't know what's really going on, because when our leadership was being indicted, there's a lot of people that surround them, and nobody said anything. Nobody brought anything up. Nobody said any, everybody just kept it quiet. And it's just, it happens at local level too. That's
the part of the culture that, like I said, it's another aspect of it that we need to see go. A lot of that is that people, for whatever reason, it was allowed to grow into that culture where, if you're in the clique, or if you were in the group or whatever, you're that, and the membership's over here. And then if somebody starts doing something they shouldn't be doing, often it's just look the other way. You know, all that stuff. The people up there at that time, you know, they were well aware of it, but they chose not to, you know, speak up and say anything. And that's the other side of it. Well, then there's retaliation. If you do speak up, you're the bad guy, you know, and we can't have that anymore either.
Yeah, I know how that feels, but
So
it's like our local 2209. They asked us to go on strike. You know, well, they asked us for a strike vote, and I was like, well, what are we going on strike for? You know, you're negotiating this contract for a while. Now I get you can't tell the membership everything.
No,
you can't tell them everything, but there's certain things. I mean, if you're about to go on strike or you're asking for a strike vote, I mean, you kind of want your membership to know and have some transparency with your membership so they know some stuff.
Yeah, and not only that, you need to do that to have support, you know, because if you leave the membership totally in the dark, like you said, they're going to be asking, well, what's going on? What's the purpose here?
Yeah, can you imagine being on a picket line and the news guy comes over and says, hey, what are you on strike for? I kind of don't know.
I'll just better working conditions. You always use that one because that is the heart of all of our bargaining.
I get it.
But anyway, transparency is something that culturally we have to get to a point where the leadership up there has to present themselves as completely responsible to the membership. They're there to serve, and this is what's going on with your union. We can't have, like we've seen in the past too, you know, the minutes to the International Executive Board, the actual union business being conducted on the membership behalf, hidden from members. That should be presented. That there should be, every month you should be able to go on and see what happened. We have to have discretion and protect certain things in there. You know, individual items, there's privileged information and things like that. We have to be smart and protect it, but that should be just wide open for the membership. So I'm hoping we get to that too.
Okay. So this is the last question. The slogan, Fight Like Mike. Where did the slogan come from? And what is its importance in your campaign?
Yeah. Well, the slogan come from my fight team. It's individuals out of my local and people all across other locals, I'll say, that I've assisted or helped through the years. They know my story. They know kind of what I've been through. And they suggested that, saying, well, you're a fighter because you had to get through all that. So, but it's not about aggression. It's about patiently and intelligently, you know, knowing what you need to know to go through the process that I had to go through when it comes to like the PRB type stuff and appeals.
So you're not going to beat anybody up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I could threaten.
Were you Golden Gloves back in the days?
I did box in
Did
high
you
school.
really?
Yeah, I did. Still got a few moves.
So the slogan, Fight Like Mike.
But yeah, it was established for my fight team because they know my history. You know, I was discharged, and it took me 6 years to go through that process. And it should never take a member that long. And unfortunately, we have a lot of members that never get through that process because they often hit roadblocks from their own union.
6 years is a long time, Mike.
It is. It
Most
takes
people would give up.
Well, yeah, but you can't give up. And that's what that really stands for. Fight Like Mike truly stands for resilience and always just not accepting what you believe is wrong and you know, fighting for what's right. But
so 6 years, and you had the knowledge to get through that too?
I did. I mean, I had to learn all that. You know, I prior to that, my passion was simply in bargaining. I wanted to just represent the membership at the table and bargain. But I had to learn, you know, our Constitution. I had to research a lot of labor law. I had to research basically a lot of legal precedent and arbitrary decisions. And then at the same time, the appeals process is lengthy, and unless if you make one mistake, you're done. First off, it's not designed for the average member. Unfortunately, it should be, and that's something I'd like to advocate too. Is a much simpler appeals process, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's wrote like that by design.
Yeah.
So anyway, that slogan came from that. Is they knew my story. They knew that I had to go through, you know, all the legal issues with it, and then all the constitutional issues with it, to get to a point where, you know, the union was forced to arbitrate that case. Once the arbitration, 6 years of battling my own union, 1 day of battling the company in arbitration, and then I won and I returned back to work.
That what 4% have tried, and how many
Yeah.
succeeded?
Yeah, those cases are normally like 3%, but I use 4 to be safe. Yes,
And you won twice.
back to back. And like I said, it's unfortunate. There's many members that do give up or they make a mistake because they don't have that knowledge. And it's certainly something that's near and dear to me because that's 6 years of my life that I can't get back. But I don't want to see another member have to go through it either.
Yeah, because a lot of members, they have no clue of what the next step is, what the timelines are, unless their committee man, zone, or shop chair tells them. I mean,
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. We have a lot of members. It's not that they choose to not know that. It's just they believe they're represented, so they don't have to know that. But the truth is, if we don't follow that Constitution, you don't have a case. The way labor law works, I do. I want to basically take my knowledge that I have learned there and I'll say the dysfunctions that I've learned within the system, and I don't want other members to have to deal with that. I want those things corrected, our appeals process corrected. And there's other things that I want to see when it comes to reforms. But I do, the knowledge that I've learned through that is what I want to bring to the table and represent members. I'm going to fight for them just like I had to fight for myself. I don't plan to stop fighting. Stay. I'm going to keep marching on, doing what I think's right.
fight like Mike. You gotta fight for our membership, huh?
I plan to. Yes.
Okay. Well, Mike, I appreciate what you answering these questions, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Well, with that, would you like to say anything to the membership before we go?
Yeah. First off, thank you. Thank you for taking your time and having me here. I think I have the forum coming up. We'll see how that goes. Plan to be there. But to the membership, I ask members just get engaged. I understand there's many reasons you're not. I get it. But, this is your union, and you are, the highest authority of this body. Even though we might have processes in place that circumvent that we need to address. But this is your organization. So I'd ask the membership to get engaged. We expect to have a union that serves the membership, works for the membership got to show up too.
Well, Mike, I hope you have some more answers, because hopefully you'll come back again and we'll talk about maybe education.
Definitely.
Talk about retirees, healthcare.
Definitely.
Right. So thanks again, Mike, and I appreciate you being here. Yeah, and we will have your QR code. We'll have all Mike's information. Please research him, Mike Turner, for Vice President, and please research all your other candidates. Stay informed and stay educated. Thank you.
Thank you, membership.